Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, this is DK Singh. In this episode of Politically Correct, I'm going to talk about the deliberations in the National Executive of the BJP, National Executive meeting on Sunday. It went on for about 6.5 hours. The BJP President JP Nadda spoke, then a political resolution was passed, then Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke. So usually, why are these meetings important? Because at any given point of time, parties have issues, you have elections coming, there are some policy issues, you need certain directions. It's also a mechanism for inner party democracy where anybody can raise any problem. If anybody has any issue, he or she can raise it on the party platform. In fact, as per the BJP's constitution, this national executive has to meet every 3 months, but it was meeting after 3 years on Sunday. And how much importance the BJP leaders give to such meetings? I'll just tell you one example. Our India's Environment and Climate Change Minister Bhupendra Yadav, he was in Glasgow. Glasgow, you are having this climate negotiations. Prime Minister was already there. He made 5 commitments there, including net zero emission by 2070 and 4 other targets which have to be met by 2030. So those were Prime Minister's commitments there. After that, Bhupendra Yadav is there negotiating with different countries how to reach targets about climate financing also by developed countries. These are crucial negotiations which are on. But Bhupendra Yadav decided to fly 7,000 kilometers on Saturday to be in Delhi. He took a break from those negotiations to come back to India to attend this BJP National Executive meeting. And today he is scheduled to go back to Glasgow. So basically 14,000 kilometers of air travel just to attend that meeting. This is the kind of importance BJP leaders give. Although somebody can argue that he could have attended it online because it was in a hybrid mode. All chief ministers, in fact, except Yogi Adityanath, attended it virtually. But then Bhupendra Yadav decided to come back. I'm talking about the importance the leaders attach to such meetings. But what happened finally in the meeting? Praising the Prime Minister, talking recitals of what you call Modi Nama. I mean, they are a given in a BJP gathering. Any meeting happens, you expect this to happen. In this meeting also, Nadda started with that. He was praising the Prime Minister's initiatives, what he has done for the poor. In fact, he went on to say that, in the context of the Taliban taking over Afghanistan, he was saying good that we have done that this government brought citizenship amendment legislation. Although the fact is that legislation came 2 years back and even today rules have not been notified. That's another thing, I'm not getting into that area. But all praise for the Prime Minister. That was Nadda's speech. Then he also set a few targets. Like, there are about 10,40,000 polling stations. The BJP has to set up their booth committees in all of them by the 25th of December. So BJP has already done that in 85% of the polling stations, just 15% are left. So this was the target. Another target Nadda set was the setting up of Panna committees or page committees that you say. Page, on the voter list, you have about 50, 60 voters there. They have committee at the page level also. So that those committees have to be formed in every polling station by next April actually. Those are the main targets. After Nadda spoke, there was this political resolution that was passed by the National Executive. And resolution, if you go through the resolution, it's a bit going gung-ho, in fact, on every parameter. So, for instance, it's talking about climate change and how the Prime Minister shown the world a way by making those commitments at COP26. Some cynics may actually argue that the Prime Minister just made commitments. What is there to felicitate him that a national executive did on Sunday? They were just commitments. But that's what politics is played in this post-truth era, I would say. That's how it's done. Cynics may or may not agree, but that has been a secret of the BJP's success. Basically showcasing everything, your commitments. And in fact, if you look at the political resolution, it even talks about this government's initiative to double farmers' income. And you remember the deadline? That is by 2022. That was the PM's deadline. But it's as good as missed. But that's not the issue. Issue is how the party tried to showcase everything that the government has done, all positive things. So you talk about climate change, you talk about Kashmir, where the political resolution said that, after the nullification or invalidation of that special status of Jammu and Kashmir, it's total return to normalcy, and basically everything is pretty good. Terror incidents have come down. So basically the entire projection was that everything is going great in Kashmir. There's nothing wrong. Then you talk about Corona. The BJP political resolution talked about, the milestone India has achieved by vaccinating 100 crore people. You talk about economy, where again the political resolution is praising the Modi government, saying how effectively it has handled it. So you go by one after another, basically issue in the political resolution. Everywhere there is praise and praise. You may, however, argue that there are many other issues. I mean, if you look at the political resolution, you think there is nothing happening there is no problem at LOC or LAC. You would feel that there are no economic challenges as such, and we are doing pretty fine, which we are in fact. But basically, not even talking about the challenges or the enormity of it. You talk about unemployment issues. Again, it talks about how jobs are being generated by this government. All good things. But then the problem comes when there are some elephants in the room that you decide to ignore. So many of the participants, many BJP leaders we have been talking over the past several weeks, they have been raising many issues, especially in the context of the recent assembly and parliamentary bypolls. Now coming to that, the only time they talked about, whether it's the Prime Minister or the BJP President or the political resolution, the only reference to those polls was in a very positive way, that how the BJP has done so well in Assam, how the BJP did so well in Telangana, where it won the Huzurabad bypoll, how it did well in other northeastern states. And about Allahabad also, the PM said, because the political resolution is signed, political resolution talks about doubling the farmers' income, but it totally skips any mention of the farmers' agitation. In fact, in the valedictory speech of the Prime Minister, you heard him saying that, the fact that the BJP did so well in Allahabad shows that people have trust in the central farm laws. People may be agitating. The Prime Minister did not talk about agitations as such. He just talked about the people's faith in the farm laws. That was the only reference you got. Then, talking about successes, right from Nadda to the political resolution, the talk was about the political violence in Bengal. It's not, what happened in West Bengal bypolls? There were four assembly seats. The BJP lost all four, though the fact is only two of them were with the BJP. But the two of them, those seats were won in the last assembly election. Dinhata seat, that seat was won by Union Minister of State for Home, Nishit Pramanik. He of course vacated a seat to remain a Lok Sabha member, but the fact that BJP lost that. Then there is another seat called Shantipur, which was with the BJP MP. BJP lost that poll also. And we have seen how over the past 6 months, 5 MLAs of the BJP have jumped ship. They have joined the Trinamool Congress. One of the MPs has joined the Trinamool Congress. So BJP's tally in the assembly, in fact, has come down from 77 to 70 in the last 6 months. So it's a matter of concern, but that's not what you heard in the National Executive Meeting. What you would expect the BJP to debate, because these are areas of concern, and BJP leaders and the rank and file have been talking about this, although not very publicly, but often you keep hearing leaders flagging their concerns. But this issue did not come at all. What came was, what Nadda flagged, what the political resolution said, was the political violence in West Bengal, which is a fact in fact, and political violence has been happening and we have been talking about it. That's a fact. But then another aspect is, ahead of Karnataka Assembly elections also in 2018, we heard then Party President Amit Shah talking about how 20 RSS and BJP workers had been murdered, quote unquote, murdered in Karnataka. And when BJP would come to power, they would be brought to justice. It has been 2 years since the BJP has been in power in Karnataka. We have not heard about it again. There were similar talks about political violence in Kerala. We don't really hear many central leaders talking about it anymore. So this selective thing, we're talking about West Bengal, we should be basically doing some self-introspection about what has gone wrong in West Bengal within 6 months after a spectacular, I would say spectacular because, BJP managed from 3 to 77 seats in the state assembly was a big deal. But the way it's losing its ground so fast, and the bypolls were the latest indicator. There's still no discussion on those failures. Talk about other assembly bypolls. We have seen what it did not just in West Bengal. Himachal was a big concern. We have discussed it in our YouTube live on last Tuesday. Himachal Pradesh, the party lost all 3 assembly seats and 1 parliamentary seat also. Well, there were 3 Lok Sabha bypolls also, out of which BJP won Khandwa, but it lost Mandi and it lost Daman and Diu. Although Daman and Diu was with an independent MP, we have discussed it. The matter of concern there is, when the Prime Minister was talking was addressing a national executive, he was talking about the opposition and how all these opposition parties, they revolve around a family. So it's a familiar jibe actually against the opposition when it came to dynastic politics. But the fact is, within the BJP now, you hear many murmurs. If you talk to BJP leaders, they are talking about this arbitrary approach to this entire dynastic politics, or selective, you would say. For instance, in the bypolls also, if you see, the party decided not to give tickets to the children of the deceased MLAs. Many of those seats the party lost. You talk about, say, in Kotkhai in Himachal Pradesh, for instance, the sitting MLA's son, Chetan Bragta, he was denied ticket with the BJP as per the policy that, because you do not promote dynastic politics, you will not give tickets to the children. Finally, Chetan Bragta contested as an independent. The result, the Congress won the seat because the BJP's official candidate got just about 2,600 plus votes. And Chetan Bragta got about 23,000 plus votes. So that was a wrong decision. You talk about Hangal in Karnataka. Everybody has been talking about the BJP's loss in Hangal because that was Basavaraj Bommai, CM's home turf. But what happened there? The CM Udasi, the MLA, who was several term MLA from Hangal, his family members wanted tickets. The party denied it. The BJP went on to lose that seat. So these are discussions whether you should be denying it and whether you should be selective about this. Because if you're denying tickets to the children of the deceased legislators, saying that you are against dynastic politics, then you should not be giving tickets to somebody like, say, Govind Kanda, the Allahabad BJP candidate. He joins the BJP today. 3 days later, he gets the BJP ticket. And he is the brother of the controversial MLA in Haryana, Gopal Kanda. You know quite a lot about Gopal Kanda's basically background. So there you are being arbitrary. If you are not giving it to Chetan Bragta, you are not giving to Udasi's family or others, you should be applying the same yardstick here. But the yardstick has become winnability. But the fact is, when that winnability did not work, because in the bypolls in many states, the party lost because the BJP did not give tickets to the children or family members of the MLAs. But that was something which has been weighing on the minds of BJP leaders, but there were no discussions on this. If you talk to BJP leaders in private, they all talk about, there has to be a uniform standard for all this. No discussion in the national executive. Now about bypoll losses, although the BJP has been pretty dismissive about it, BJP does not even talk about it. We saw the day of the results in the evening, there was a split statement from Nadda. He talked about all the successes, but not about the failures. The fact that Himachal Pradesh is his home state and it is going to polls next year, party had received a drubbing in the bypolls, no discussion in the national executive. There are wider concerns also, because when you talk about, these assembly bypolls are basically measuring anti-incumbency against the local leadership, anti-incumbency or pro-incumbency, whatever, being that election result being a kind of a barometer of their popularity or their failures. But fact is, when you talk about parliamentary bypolls, losses indicate something wrong happening. It's not what BJP has talked about winning Khandwa. It has not talked about losing Mandi. Daman and Diu, you can say that Daman and Diu was with an independent MP, BJP candidate was a runner-up this time also. But if you look at the results closely, in the parliamentary bypolls also, there is something disturbing coming for the BJP here. And I think some of our viewers did point it out during my polygraph show. By then I was not ready, but after that I have been hearing BJP leaders talk about it, and that's why I'm bringing it out. So in Mandi, for instance, in 2019, the BJP candidate got 6,47,000 odd votes. It came down by about 2.85 lakhs. So in 2019, the BJP candidate gets 6.47 lakh votes. In 2021, the BJP candidate gets just 3.62 lakh votes. So the BJP has lost 2,85,000 votes within 2 years. Something is definitely going wrong. You talk about Khandwa. Khandwa, of course, BJP retained. But look at the votes here. In 2019, BJP got 8.38 lakh votes. In 2021, BJP got 6.32 lakh votes. A loss of about 2 lakh votes in 2 years. Talk about Dadra and Nagar Haveli. In 2014, 2019, although the BJP candidates were runners-up, the BJP's they will be getting in both elections. They got about 81,000 votes. In 2021, it has come down to 66,000 votes. So BJP is losing there also. So you may talk about assembly bypolls saying that okay, it's a verdict on the local government, but when you talk about parliamentary bypolls, probably it will be a bit of a stretch if you blame it all on the local leadership. There is some kind of disillusionment happening on the ground, which the BJP leadership needed to discuss. And National Executive was the best forum because you have all top party leaders, all chief ministers were there, all state presidents were there. So many union ministers were there. That was the forum to discuss. But all these things were completely neglected. Other issues that even, say, RSS chief had flagged, where if you are talking about issues, like in his Vijayadashmi speech, if you heard Mohan Bhagwat, he had flagged many concerns. He was talking about lockdown. So in his inaugural speech yesterday, JP Nadda was talking about the success of the lockdown. But if you heard Mohan Bhagwat, he was talking about how the lockdown had marred the economy considerably. Then in the political resolution here, you hear talks about restoration of peace in Jammu and Kashmir, that everything is normal now. What Mohan Bhagwat had flagged, he was talking about a spate of killings of what he called the nationalist-minded people, especially Hindus. And then he talked about the need to speed up, basically take more measures to what he called finish off terrorist activities. He flagged his concerns about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, which never got reflected in the BJP political resolution or any of their speeches. Then Mohan Bhagwat was talking about, he was talking about what he called demographic imbalance. Then he was talking about the need for population review. There were many issues Mohan Bhagwat had flagged, but none of them got reflected in the political resolution or any time during the deliberations of the National Executive. I am not suggesting here that there is a rift between the BJP and its ideological patron. All I am saying is that there were issues that the RSS chief flagged, which somehow got totally ignored by the BJP's National Executive. There is no rift, of course, but what it indicates is that somehow Modi, Amit Shah-led BJP is becoming more independent, is becoming more autonomous within the Sangh Parivar. I mean, that's about it. You don't have to read much into it because we know right from the Prime Minister to the Home Minister to all these ministers, most of them are from the RSS background. So I'm not suggesting any rift at all. I'm just talking about a political resolution or the deliberations which chose to ignore all the inconvenient points. Again, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi or the BJP leaders, they are much smarter than any of us. They understand politics much better than any of us. They know what has gone wrong in the bypolls. So if they are not talking about what is going wrong, if they are not talking about what's going wrong in Jammu and Kashmir, if they are not talking about LAC, they have their own strategy in place. Of course, they will deliberate over this, probably in smaller groups, or probably Amit Shah and Modi will meet and they will decide what to do next in Himachal or in West Bengal. But the point is, when you have a national executive meeting, that inner party democracy has to show. You have to have a dialogue. You have to basically let everybody talk about their concerns, which did not happen in Sunday's meeting. Anyway, probably the strategy was to convey a message of, what Amir Khan was singing in Three Idiot, that all is well song, that life ho out of control, city baja ke bol, all is well. I mean, if that was the objective of the entire exercise, probably the national executive did achieve that much. That's all from me in this episode of Politically Correct. Thanks for watching.